Hit it, Phil.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze. It's Jackson time. La-da-da-da.
Stay tuned.
Right after this episode.
For our discussion.
Here's Lucy. Starring Lucille Ball. Co-starring Gail Gordon, Lucy Arnaz, and Desi Arnaz Jr.
Yes, Mr. Pine. Yes, I understand. The matter is extremely confidential. I'll take care of it for you, Mr. Pine. Goodbye.
Oh, Harry, I had the greatest lunch. Listen, if you like pot roast...
Please forget about your pot roast. I have a job for you, very important.
Oh.
I just received a phone call from Irving Fine.
Irving Fine? Who's Irving Fine?
He manages some of the biggest stars in Hollywood.
Oh.
And one of those stars needs a secretary immediately because he wants to dictate something very confidential.
What's the star's name?
He wouldn't tell me.
Oh, boy, that is confidential.
That's right, Lucille. This matter must be handled with the utmost secrecy.
Well, now, Harry, you know how I can keep a secret.
Yes, but I'll take a chance on you anyway. Now, here's the address. Get over there immediately.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, Lucille, I'll need that address for the files. What is it, please?
I can't tell you. It's a secret. Hello. I'm the secretary sent over by the agency. I'm Lucille Carter.
Oh, come right in.
Thank you. Why, you're Jack Benny.
Well, yes. Yes, I've been Jack Benny for years and years and years. And years.
Oh, gee, I never thought I'd meet the famous Jack Benny. Why, you're a living legend.
Well, at least I'm living.
Oh, what a beautiful home, Mr. Benny. And I just can't tell you how thrilled I am being here. You know, Mr. Benny, you are the greatest comedian in the whole world.
Well, I kind of wish you hadn't said that. I mean, it's embarrassing, you know. It might be true, but it's embarrassing. Now, let's get to work.
Yes, sir.
Would you be comfortable here?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. Now, I'm going to dictate the story of my life.
Oh.
The real me.
Oh.
I mean, the Jack Benny that nobody knows. Now, would you believe that I was a terrific ladies' man?
No.
You know, that's the trouble. Nobody does. Well, my autobiography will change all that.
Oh.
Now, let's get on with the dictation.
Yes, sir.
The Women in My Life by
Jack Benny.
I know that. Now, let's start.
Okay.
The Women in My Life, or I Am Curious, Jell-O.
I think that's funny.
Yes, I think it's a good title. Now, there were many, many women who influenced my life, but the first and foremost was, of course, my mother. I remember when I was just a little kid back in Waukegan, Illinois.
How do you spell Waukegan?
W-A-U-K... Gee, I forgot. But then, you know, it was years and years and years.
And years.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Oh, Jackie, that's beautiful. I can listen to you play day and night. When you play, it sounds like the singing of angels.
When will Papa be home?
Oh, Jackie, Papa called. He's going to have to work late tonight.
Again?
Yes, these are hard times, Jackie. And every penny counts. The first of the month is coming, and you know how Papa and I worry about the rent.
Don't worry about the rent, Mama. I won't evict you.
Thank you, Jackie.
You can owe me the money. Just give me your wedding ring as collateral.
Wow!
Gee, Mama, that's a wonderful pose. I may use that in my debut at Carnegie Hall.
Jackie, please, don't copy any more of my mannerisms. It's bad enough you walk like me.
Now cut that out!
Play, Jackie, play. Hello? What? How dare you? A fine next-door neighbor you are, always complaining about my son practicing. Well, you're just jealous because my Jackie plays the violin better than your Yasha, Mrs. Heifetz.
My musical career was interrupted by the war, and I joined the Navy. And then I met Zelda.
Jack, after dinner tonight, let's not go to another museum. Let's do something exciting.
Like what?
Let's go to Roseland and dance.
Okay, but you'll have to lead.
No, Jack, I mean we'll dance with girls.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never danced with a girl before.
Jack, the girls at Roseland are lots of fun. They're warm and friendly and beautiful. And it's 10 cents a dance.
Well, if that's all they can afford, I'll take it.
No, Jack, you pay them.
Well, that I won't discuss at all.
Well, you do what you want. I am going to Roseland.
I don't care where you go. Go any place you want. I'm gonna stay here and get drunk. I don't care where he goes. I'm gonna have a good time.
What do you have, sailor? What's the matter?
I've just been smitten by Cupid's arrow.
Oh, thank goodness. For a minute, I thought you had heartburn.
Please, sit down.
No, I'm not allowed to sit with the customers.
Well, that's all right. I never buy anything. Please sit down. Please.
Well, okay.
My name is Jack. What's yours?
Zelda.
Zelda. What a beautiful name. It sounds like the singing of a nightingale, the glissando of an angel's harp.
Gee, you talk funny. Are you a poet or something?
No, I'm a musician, a violinist, and quite good, if you should ask.
I'm not asking.
Well, I'm telling. Excuse me, I didn't mean to get so rough. Gosh, I'd like to take you in my arms. Will you dance with me?
Dance? How old are you?
17.
17?
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I can't dance with a baby.
Well, if I knew you were in that condition, I wouldn't.
I meant you were the baby. You're too young for me.
Well, not really. I'll tell you a secret. I lie about my age.
No.
Yes, I'm really older than I look, you know. See if you can guess how old I really am. Just guess. You know.
18, 19?
No, a little older than that. Guess again.
63.
I'm 21.
Well, what a coincidence. That's how old I am.
63?
No, 21.
Oh, you lie about your age, too. No, please dance with me.
I will not.
Please, you're the only girl I've ever seen who has affected me this way. If you don't dance with me, I'll just kill myself.
Okay, I will.
All right. Put a nickel in the machine. Can it be the breeze? The war was over. I had defeated the Kaiser. The bright lights beckoned to me, and I became a star in Vaudeville. It was there I met Deborah. You know, another funny thing happened. I was walking down the street today, and a panhandler came over to me and said, "Sir, can I have 50 cents? I haven't eaten for 3 days." So, wait till you hear the answer to this. This'll kill you. So I said to the panhandler, "If you haven't eaten for 3 days, you should force yourself." Now, I want to tell you another funny anecdote. It's about a fellow who went to the library and... What's the matter, miss?
My mother and father had an accident. There was an explosion in the house, and they were blown right through the roof.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, it isn't. It's the first time they've gone out together in years.
Well, anyway, you've probably heard the library joke. So now I'd like you to meet my partner, Deborah Fink. Come out again, Deborah. I hope you always wash your hands before touching my violin.
Yes, and after, too.
Now, folks, Deborah and I will do our big finish for you. Let's go, Deb. Say, you're kind of minute, Q. Would you like to go out with me after the show?
Sir, I'll have you know I'm a good girl.
Well, for your information, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't stay out late, and I don't carouse.
Oh, you're a good girl, too.
Oh, do you know the 3 quickest ways to spread the news?
Now, what are the 3 quickest ways to spread the news?
Telegraph, telephone, and tell a woman. Oh. Say, I understand your brother lost his job as the city lamplighter.
Yes, it was his job to turn on the street lights every night.
And what happened?
Well, one night he got lit and the city didn't.
Okay, Deborah. Now for the flash finish. Can it be the breeze? It was on radio that I became associated with a girl I'll never forget. Her name was, oh yes, Mary. Mary Livingston. So I said to Phil Harris, Phil, you've got to stop drinking. Your eyes are getting bloodshot. And Phil said, Jackson, you should see them from the inside. Now, I wouldn't say that Phil drinks a lot, but hey, here comes Mary Livingston. Hello, Mary. Mary, what's that you're carrying? A letter from your mother?
Uh-huh.
How nice. And what does the Midnight Cowboy of New Jersey have to say?
My darling daughter, Mary, everything is fine here in Plainfield, except that your cousin Bertha is very upset because she wasn't selected to go to Atlantic City for the Miss America Bathing Beauty Contest. Even though I'm her aunt, I must admit that Bertha has the prettiest pair of knees in New Jersey. It's a shame they're in the back.
Yeah.
Poor Bertha never had any luck. We thought she finally landed a fellow last week. For 7 straight nights, a college student took her out.
Well, a college student.
But the 8th night, he didn't show up. He called and said the initiation was over.
Poor Bertha.
Last year, Bertha did have a boyfriend named Herman, but he met a very sad end. He worked for a brewery and fell in a vat of beer.
And he drowned?
They saved him from drowning, but he caught pneumonia from everybody trying to blow the foam off him. Well, that's about all the news, so I'll close with the fondest regards from your mother, Cactus Flower Livingston.
Mary, what are you laughing at?
P.S. Tell Jack that after he spent the night here, we found that he had left his toupee and his toothbrush. We're mailing them back to him. The one with the handle is the toothbrush.
I know, Mary, I know. Next, I made my debut in the cinema because the women of the world hungered for a new sex symbol. Every glamour girl in Hollywood threw herself at my feet, including the legendary Lola Levere. I'll never forget the night I told Lola that our romance was over.
So nice to see you again, Mr. Benny.
Naturally.
Do make yourself comfortable, sir.
Thank you.
Jack, what a surprise. If I'd known you were coming, I would have dressed.
Cigarette?
No, thank you.
Lola, this is difficult for me to say. Sit down.
Sit down. This is difficult for me to do.
Lola, we've been sweethearts for years.
That's right, Jack.
And we've learned a lot from each other.
That's true.
You taught me the meaning of true love.
And you taught me the meaning of Dutch treat.
That's true. But Lola, all good things must end. And so...
Jack, what are you trying to tell me?
Do I have to put it in words? Can't you see it in my eyes?
No, no, your mascara hides everything.
Now cut that out! Lola, we're through. Finished.
Oh, Jack, have you forgotten already? It was only a week ago, the marriage proposal.
That was your idea. Who told you to propose to me? I'm going to leave right now.
No, you can't go.
No, my dear. No tears. The song is ended. Let the melody linger on.
But, Jack, you can't leave me. Not after I gave you the best years of my life.
You gave me what?
The best years of my life.
Even a stinker like me wouldn't take advantage of a line like that. Now, my dear, let us say goodbye without a scene.
No, you can't do this to me. You can't. I'll get even. I'll sue you for breach of promise.
So what?
I'll drag your name through the mud.
Big deal.
I'll get the studio to reissue the horn blows at midnight.
You wouldn't dare.
Please, let's try again.
No. This is the end.
Oh, please.
Can it be the breeze? Now, the next woman in my life was an international beauty.
Oh.
A member of the jet set.
Ah.
Who, wait a minute. Oh, my goodness, I had no idea it was this late. You must be starved.
Oh, no, sir. The sandwich you sold me was very filling. And I don't mind working late because your story is so fascinating.
I know. But I can't work any longer. You see, I have a date tonight.
Oh.
A friend and I are taking out a couple of girls. You see, I'm still a swinger.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, that must be the... Come in. Hi, George.
Hello, Jack.
George Burns.
What time do we have to pick up the girls?
I've already picked them up. Come on in, girls.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Trixie, Ginger.
Oh, Jack, I'm so sorry we're late, but I had to stop and pick up the pill.
Pill?
Yeah, the one that keeps us awake. Come on, girls, let's paint the town. I hope we don't hurt ourselves.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. We have some great shows for you today. This first one we're doing is Jack Benny appearing on Here's Lucy, and this is from 1970, from January 1st, 1970. It's just a great episode. I'm so glad that she gave him the opportunity to do this and that they created this episode and that Lucy could be so involved. It was very creative the way that they kind of involved Lucy throughout his life story and everything. So anyway, we have today joining us to talk about this, we have Kathy Fuller Seeley. Hey, Kathy. And Kathy's newest book is now out, so you can pick that up. And what's awesome is I love this because we're recording this and it should come out tomorrow, so you should have access to it. So Kathy's book, it's the orange one, the fourth volume of her series on Jack Benny's lost radio scripts, and delightful, with a larger intro than she usually does because there was so much ground to cover. And so I am excited to get that. It's available on paperback now. They have it at Amazon and things. There's a hardback copy coming out at some point in the future. And so I can't wait to get that.
A 30-second pitch. During this time period when they become sponsored by Chevrolet, a motor company, Mary Livingston starts her Mae West imitation. And she gets national attention for this. Everybody loves the fact that she's one of the first to parody Mae West. And of course, eventually everybody like Betty Boop and, I think Shirley Temple would eventually do parodies of Mae West. But Mary was very successful with that. And they did other film parodies from King Kong to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. These are some great scripts.
Nice.
Great. So,
Kathy, did you say that did Daryl say the cover of this one is orange?
Yes.
So
I'm working my way through the 6 delicious flavors.
I think you should tell people that orange is the new Jack.
That's very good.
You're welcome.
Yes. New selling fee right there. I tell you, that's her promo right there. Nice. Well, that was, of course, our friend that's visiting us yet again, Terry. Terry, good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Yeah. And Terry joins us every once in a while. See, what's funny, I think, is for people watching, because so many of ours are old shows and new shows. It doesn't seem like Terry's gone as much as he truly is gone, but so which is charming on their end. So it's great to have Terry back. And then we have John. Hey, John.
Oh.
And John, apparently the only podcaster left on our show is John Henderson. So enjoy John's podcast this summer. I'm currently in between podcasting gigs. I'm trying to find a venue that I want to put my podcast on or get Spotify back working or something. So stay tuned. We'll get that worked out. I'm not too concerned. It's like, as long as I get it figured out before the fall, then it's okay, because there's really not a lot of summer radio that used to go on, or the kind that I usually present. So yeah, as long as I'll get it figured out by September. But if we'll see. Hopefully, the next couple of weeks I'll get it figured out and start my podcast back up. But
Buck, I would invite you to be part of Imaginary Theater, but we're in hiatus too.
Yeah, look at that. So there you go. There you go. So the only place you can go is John's.
I will. Yes. So, but a random Jack Benny factoid having to do with summer doldrums and July 4th. That his very first summer on the air was one of the few times that Jack broadcast all the way through the summer. And on July 4th, 1932, he actually advertised that he was going to do fireworks on the radio. And it's really adorable. He has members of George Olson's band play their instruments to sound like fireworks. And he describes them, and it's really cute. So that's in volume 1. But
volume 1, yeah.
Hooray, Benny got one chance to celebrate July the 4th.
That's cool. And then because the other one that I've talked about some is Father's Day, because he doesn't always go until Father's Day, but he does sometimes. And so he's had a few Father's Day episodes. Lots of Mother's Day. Well, every season they talk about Mother's Day, but Father's Day every once in a while. So there's certain ones that, and of course he never reached all the way into July except for at the very beginning, like Kathy's saying. So anyway, let's present this show. So let's first go over, since Terry's back. Let's go to Terry.
Well, being a writer, the first thing I noticed was the writers for this episode. Milt Josephsberg, who of course was one of Jack's longtime radio writers, and Ray Singer, who had written for Phil Harris and Alice Faye. So I think that goes a long way toward explaining the quality of the writing on this show. I will tell you without hesitation, I laughed from beginning to end. I loved this episode. A lot of it by today's standards might be, kind of corny, but I just thought it was hilarious. A couple of current, for that time, current references. At one point, Jack says, "Would you believe?" And of course, I immediately thought of Get Smart, which was on the air. I think it was their last season when this episode was broadcast. They made a joke, a turn on, he said, "I Am Curious Jello," which was a turn on the title of a movie called I Am Curious Yellow, which had come out a few years before in Britain. It was, in Sweden. It was a Swedish movie, an adult movie. But I don't think it came to the United States until 1969, the year before this episode was broadcast. And then one other current event reference, he talked about Midnight Cowboy. That movie, also an adult movie, came out. I think it was the first commercial X-rated movie.
Yep.
And that was out the same year that, or the year before, 1969, before this episode came out. So a lot of these things meant more to the audiences at that time than they might to most of our audience today.
Yeah. It might have been the first and last purposely done X-rated film. I mean, they've accidentally tried for R's and gone too far, and then not wanted to change it and went with an X or whatever. But and probably the most successful X-rated film of all time.
I think it won some Academy Awards.
Yeah, it did. It won for Best Picture. So yeah, it was. And the joke with that is that that one, and the next year, I can't remember which film won, but a G-rated film won, and it was like like one of the few times a G-rated film won, and the only time an X-rated film won and they were back to back. So that's kind of weird.
I was watching the Candid Camera special, and they talked about how they released, like, What Do You Say to a Naked Lady or something, which is Candid Camera gags, but with naked women and people's like reaction, and they marketed it as the most family-friendly X-rated movie you'll ever watch.
That's great. Well, John, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, it was very interesting, a very unusual episode, and it's hard for me to imagine watching this episode not being a Jack Benny fan.
Right.
The last episode that Jack Benny was on Here's Lucy, I think in season 1, was basically a Here's Lucy episode that had Jack Benny in it. And this is like a tailored episode. Like, this could be on any show. This wouldn't even, like, they have this little intro at the beginning of Here's Lucy, and then it's just, Jack Benny telling his life story with Lucy popping in. So yeah, very interesting. But as a Jack Benny fan, it makes all the difference being able to recognize, this is a part of Jack Benny's story. And when they get to the radio stuff, that's particularly fun and interesting to me. I thought it was strange to have Jack Benny playing his younger self. Like, there's an episode, I think, in like the 40s, or I guess it would be the 50s, where Jack Benny is playing himself from the 30s. Right. But to have it 1970 and he's playing himself from 1917, it's very strange. And they don't even like try to make him look young or anything like that. So That's pretty fun.
Well, and then there's the fact that every woman he's known as his entire life becomes Lucy is also a little pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
want to
like
ask you a
Lucy as his
question.
mom when he's a young man and learning to play. I thought those scenes were very fun and touching. Yeah, yeah.
I want to ask you a question about the kid who actually there was I
Yeah.
guess the first segment where there was young Jack. The actor's name was Michael Barbera. It looked like he was actually playing the violin. I don't know if any of you thought that.
I thought so. I was kind of wondering, were some of those scenes actually taped in front of a live audience?
Right.
Listening to the laughter, and it seemed either superbly arranged or that, those scenes.
Including one guy laughed really hard and loud. That I don't think they would have put that in as a fake laugh.
Right, right. No,
I
I think it probably was done in front of a live audience, I assume, because I believe her show was still being done in front of a live audience at the time. So why wouldn't they? Yeah, yeah.
Like there's the bit where he bends over and his pants rip, which is fine, whatever. But the audience just howls at that.
Right. Yeah, that's the part to me that doesn't hold up as well, because it's not like we do that kind of humor so much anymore. But it works, and they go back to it like probably one too many times, but it's what it is. And then there's something I read about this where they were asking him to do something, Jack, and Jack said, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can physically, I'm supposed to jump on something or do something. And there was something, and he said, I don't think I can do it, but they wouldn't change it. And so they were like, no, you can do this. And so he's like, all right, I'll try or whatever. But I don't even know what it was. I was looking for something that looked like it was physically taxing of him, and I don't know.
I have a guess. I think it was at the very end where he did that little twinkle toes thing with his feet, and he almost tripped. It looked like he almost fell at the very end when they're leaving.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you're talking about, because he did his move. That's his signature move that he's done for years.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe he hadn't done that in 5 years or something, and then said, I don't think I can do that anymore. And they're, why don't you try it, Jack, or something? And he's like, okay.
Because he's 75. That's interesting. I thought it was really interesting in the sailor scene when Lucy calls him out when, I'm 21, and she goes, no, you're 63.
Yeah.
Goes, wait a minute. I had to then do the math. I go, 75.
Yeah. No doubt.
That's so strange. Why wouldn't they say 75? Like, is he literally trying to protect his age still? Or I wouldn't think so.
And Lucy, so then I had to figure out just now, how old was Lucy? She was 59. And wow, was she in great shape. One of those fabulous legs. I mean, that's...
yeah, I mean, she had a whole dancing segment and things. It's great. And, yeah, she was in great shape. Yeah.
Now maybe this is a reference that Terry can explain. I didn't get the Lola bit where she's got like the wig and the green dress. Is that a reference to something, or is it just another?
When was this?
It's after his radio show when they started just say like, oh, and then he met other women or whatever. So I wondered if that was some kind of spoof, or if it's just like, here's another person.
Well, the only Lola character I can think of is from Damn Yankees, where whatever Lola wants.
She makes her voice sound kind of like Marlene Dietrich. So this was, I thought, the most fictional of any of the little skits that he'd be big Hollywood playboy, and that she would be, because I thought she was kind of dressed 1930s style. And so they said, that was the most fictional. So
yeah. But
I love George Burns coming out at the end. That was great. And then I've got some girls for us, and it's a couple of old ladies. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
One of those old ladies was Florence Lake, who was the sister of Arthur Lake, who played Dagwood.
Oh, wow.
The things you'll learn when looking up other things.
Yeah. crazy.
That is fabulous. It reminds me of someday we'll actually go back and do the show about the Pasadena fan club, because the members of the Jack Benny Pasadena fan club from his television episode in the early 60s were these interesting women who had, especially, they weren't longtime Hollywood folks, but they got into the television industry to play character parts as little old ladies. And so Arthur Lake's sister, that's cool. For what it's worth, I wanted to say how much this episode really touched me as a kind of love letter to Jack Benny. And with with Joseph Sberg and Singer writing it, I mean, Jack loved his mother so much. I'm sure it must have meant something to him to have Lucy play this mother character sort of so sympathetically. You know, I thought was just adorable. And then what we haven't talked about, the fact that the radio segment, it's just plain odd that Lucy comes out dressed as Mary Livingston and mouths the words that Mary Livingston then says. And it reminds me so much of Mary's last days on the radio, you know, I mean, where they dropped her in Mary Livingston taped later, but also Lucy does something almost like this in one of the Jack Benny specials, where Lucy's there to give a tribute to Mary Livingston, and doesn't quite get, you know, I mean, maybe reads a letter in from her mother in the spirit of it, but it was sweet and strange.
Yeah, it was very strange. I agree, and I thought it was. I mean, at first it took me a while to figure out what was going on, because Mary does not sound like young Mary from the 1930s or even the 1950s, and you know, both Lucy and Mary have that smoker voice, so it sounds practically the same. It sounds like Lucy's dubbing her own voice or something. And I also thought it was strange that when Mary does her laugh, she doesn't do her signature laugh of like, you know, what are you laughing at, Mary? And she does this sort of like, ah, or whatever.
Yeah.
She just does a kind of a regular laugh. So
maybe she couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
She's been a big smoker.
Well, that's I was thinking the exact same thing as John with all of that. I was like, okay, so they got Mary to come out and do this, but she couldn't do herself anymore. So it's like, okay, well, that's tough. But I'm glad they attempted it, and I'm glad that she was on here. It would have been her first time doing Mary since, I mean, there's one that I don't think any of us have ever seen, that's from 1963, where she calls into Jack on the phone, and it's Mary. I believe, or at least that's what Laura's book says, that it is Mary at that point. Before that, it was 60 or 59 was the last she appeared as Mary's character on the Jack Benny show. So it'd been about a decade since she'd really done a regular appearance as Mary. And it's just charming to get this. And then after this, like Kathy says, we only get one more appearance from Mary as Mary. And that's on one of Jack Benny's specials. That is from later this same year, I think, or it's 71 at the latest, but I think it's 70. I think it's the same year. And so we'll be presenting that within the next few weeks on our YouTube channel. But then it's her on the phone with Jack. They're not actually in the same, I mean, they're in the same, they do a split screen, which is kind of a weird way to have Mary's last appearance, but she's truly on screen and truly doing the Mary character, and does, I don't know, I was going to say more full-throated Mary thing, but this is only her throat doing it. But maybe it was easier to do it in that she's actually acting out on the stage of being Mary and things. I'm not sure.
Would have been on the stage by herself. I just, from what the grandchildren and Joan Benny have sort of said, she really didn't like to interact, you know, I mean, so
yeah.
I think the stage fright by this point was so incredibly crippling. she just could not speak, and so
Oh,
maybe.
here's what I bet you anything this is what it was. Ties into what you're just saying, Kathy. I have no idea. I'm just thinking this on the spot, but Jack's special was in front of a studio audience. She would not be comfortable being in front of a studio audience. She was never comfortable in front of a studio audience for Dave. She always wanted to do the film shows, not the live shows. So I bet you her piece was filmed without a studio audience. And so it's just her and her maid that are having the conversation. And then she gets a phone call or calls one way or the other. She does the Jack's thing. And so she calls, it's all filmed. Jack's part is done live. And so he's reacting to her filmed and they have them cut together and everything. And so that would make total sense with what she's usually comfortable with and making it work for the show. And Jack would do anything to get her on. So I would assume he'd be like, okay, we'll film your segment. It won't even be no audience, no nothing. And yeah, so that would make total sense to me. So
yeah, I think you're definitely right. And I would have preferred, even a short 10-second cameo with Mary than this voice thing. But I think you're right. I think that's something that was beyond her comfort zone. Yes. And probably the only reason we have her voice at all is because, like you say, Jack really loved having her on, especially in these sort of sentimental episodes. And so like finding a way to get her involved somehow is probably what his goal was. And I got to say, the lip syncing was seamless. Like, I think that Lucy's a real talent to be able to like match that exactly and still make it seem, like she's doing it.
No, I thought that was great. And it's one of these times in history we'd love to hear them talk about this episode. I'd love to hear like Milt talk about this. And maybe he did in later interviews. I've never heard anything on it, but it's just okay. Like that Lucy asking Jack to involve Mary? Was it Lucy, who's their neighbor, coming over and talking to Mary and being like, here's how we'll do it, Mary, we can do it. And Lucy was great at talking people into all sorts of things. So I wouldn't surprise, and if I'm her, I'd want to do it as a surprise to Jack, because I don't think Jack in a million years would think he'd actually be able to get Mary to do this. He'd been trying to get Mary to do anything for years. And so that would have been a great thing to pull off if they were kind of pseudo surprising Jack. I mean, I don't think he was in that actual scene surprised by it or whatever. I think then he would have looked more shocked than he was. But I just think it's delightful that they attempted this, pulled it off as well as they did, and the fact that Lucy, what a wonderful human being to just be like, I just want to toss this entire episode to Jack, or at least Milt, I assume, pitches it to her as something they could do, and she's like, yeah, let's do it, or whatever, because she's essentially giving her whole show over to as the life story of Jack Benny. And I just can't think of another show that's done this. Like you say, this could be done, anybody could have theoretically done something like this if they had their own show and they had control over their own show, which is a rarity. I mean, I don't think somebody on Happy Days is going to go, you know what, let's honor Jack Benny and have the whole show about Jack, and we'll totally throw out what our show's about. I just don't think that's gonna work. Maybe if Marshall said that's what they're going to do, then they could, because he was in charge of the show. But Lucy had so much control over her show that she could do whatever she wanted. Any other thoughts on this? John looks like he's got something.
I didn't look up the other episodes of Here's Lucy, but I assume that Milt Josephsberg is not normally a writer on the show, because it says at the beginning that he's a special consultant for this episode or something.
Yeah.
So they must have just brought him here.
I thought both Milt and Singer had done episodes of Lucy. I think Milt was actually a special consultant or whatever on her show for years, I think. And yeah. And that's I think that's one of the reasons why they kept on bringing Jack back as much as they did, because he loved to write for Jack. But Kathy's looking it up, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna.
She'll find it. And anyway, and then Singer was, he wrote, I want to say he wrote, I get Singer and Chevrolet, right, are the two partners that wrote the Phil Harris show, and I always get confused as to which one's which. But one of them wrote for like one of the rural shows, like the Green Acres, I think, is one of them.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So our friends at Wikipedia say from the mid-50s onward, Joseph Sberg worked as a writer for many television sitcoms, such as The Lucy Show, Here's Lucy, The Odd Couple, All in the Family, and Archie Bunker's Place. So.
Oh wow, yeah.
So
he probably did have that connection with Lucy. He probably was a writer, if not regularly, at least occasionally.
Yes.
Yeah. And even the Joey Bishop shows. So and he wrote stand-up material for Jack when Jack was doing personal appearances then. So
yeah.
And
Singer and Chevrolet were such good writers for the Phil Harris show. It's just still stands out when you listen to that thing. It's just amazing the writing on that show, and to be able to get that right, to get half of their team to be with Milt. I mean, that's a pretty much a dream Jack Benny combination for them to pull that out. So,
but I sort of thought overall, thinking about a show from early 1970, that this, like many of the marvelous TV shows of this period you've been introducing me to, it does this delicate balancing act among the many different factions of the American TV audience. They're talking about the latest movies, as he had done for years in the radio, you know, in introducing Mary's Letters. It would always, they'd be using a pun on a recent film or something like that. So to talk about things happening in popular culture right now, to interest the young people, to do such detailed service for those who remember Jack Benny from 30 years ago. You know, that's, you know, bright and in color and lively, and yet sort of deeply sentimental and old-fashioned, talking about radio, you know, but a current day show. I really appreciate that, because it's hard to do when I'm teaching the history of television in this period. I'm saying it's still the triumph of the rural shows and things like that, and that everything would be swept away by the coming of All in the Family and other current issue, you know, sharper humor shows. And to see that actually what was going on at the time, there were still many shows like this, sort of the twilight of the variety shows, hanging in there with older performers and throwing back to interest in older.
No, totally. And as an example of that, like they mention The Pill and now cut that out, you know?
Yeah.
In the same episode.
Well, and to tie in Kathy's book, you have Jack has made fun of in real time when these films were out and everything, from King Kong in 1933 to Midnight Cowboy, X-rated film in 1970. That's amazing to have a career that spans that far, that you could be joking about current media that was that many years away from each other, and on primetime television and everything, where so he's still, it's not like he's in a little theater somewhere referring to current event stuff. He's there on one of the biggest shows in the country, doing his thing. It's phenomenal, and it's phenomenal that Lucy gave him the chance to do that. So I just can't thank her enough for this wonderful episode. And it could have been a Jack Benny special on its own, right? And it would have been charming to do that, and you could have had, you know, the various guest stars play different roles in his life and have it all be about his life that way, which would have been good too. But I'm just glad they did this. So, Terry, you got anything else you want to share on this? Or
well, as long as we're talking about other other references from the time. There was one other actor who played the sailor in one of the sketches.
Oh yeah.
The actor's name was Lewis Quinn, and here's another weird kind of sort of Jack Benny connection. He played the race tout on 77 Sunset Strip, and of course there was Sheldon Leonard playing the race tout on Jack's shows. And Lewis Quinn was also a writer. He wrote for Milton Berle.
Wow.
And it's always amazing to me the people who have multi-talents, who are known for one thing, but have actually done so many other things. And
Yeah.
This whole cast was an example of that. People who were, you know, multi-talented.
Yeah. And how does that happen? I always wonder. It's like, is that a casting director that knows all these people and does that? Probably. Or is it Lucy going, oh, I'd like so and so would be good with this. Can we reach out to him or reach out to her? Well, they don't usually do acting, and it's like, well, sure, let's see what they'll do. And yeah, I don't know. Interesting, but what a great piece of history. So I'm so glad we could present this. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody, and enjoy this, and we'll be back next time for more Jack Benny. So.